This is Limerick International Radio, locally based, internationally focused. We're doing a series of interviews for your information, and they'll be up on our webpage, wearelair.com, in the next couple of days. I'm here this morning with Mary Honan. Welcome. Hello. Mary. Or Dr. Mary Honan. You can look up her bio on the webpage. Now, Mary will be, I suppose, doing a few shows like myself on the schedule. It's a 7-day week schedule that we're ambitious for, and we are definite that we can succeed. Now, one of the flagship shows on the schedule will be Monday to Friday, it's a 3-hour show with My Limerick. What do you expect of the show? What kind of plans or ambitions have you for the show?
I suppose, Pat, some years back, as you know, I set up a Facebook page called My Limerick, and it's grown to it's nearly 7,000 members now from all over the world, and it was my way, I suppose, of connecting Limerick people who have gone abroad and people who've never been to Limerick, with Limerick, and I was so sick of, I suppose, the national media's treatment of Limerick, which I felt was almost if Limerick was a person, it would be considered a victim of bullying, and I was very conscious of that, so I wanted to try and push all the positive images of Limerick and its people, and I think that's what I hope to carry on with My Limerick radio show, would be to have a continuation and another medium through which the members of My Limerick and the extended diaspora, and indeed people who've never been to Limerick, can get to know our wonderful city and all that it has to offer, both Indigenous Limerick people and people who have made it their home, and indeed I suppose people who have actually left but still feel Limerick is their home, no matter where they live in the world.
So the show itself, which will be running Monday to Friday, as I said, for 3 hours, not only will it be looking in, obviously, from where we're situated, but it'll be looking out as well.
Absolutely.
Hence the tagline, locally based, internationally focused. So the focus will be very much here and over there.
Yeah, it'll be, as I say, it is My Limerick, and no matter who says the phrase My Limerick, it becomes their Limerick. It's very I suppose possessive, but there are plenty of people, there are millions of people who have left Limerick and love where they're living, maybe in New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Australia, but they still consider Limerick or Ireland their home, and this is another way through which they can actually connect with home, their Irish home, for a few hours every day, and maybe have the best of both worlds. They love where they're living, maybe in Sydney or Queensland, but they miss the Irish accent, they miss the Limerick sense of humour, or they miss the story, the way we have of telling stories in this country, the political incorrectness that our sense of humour is very politically incorrect, and it's very off the cuff. And it just gives them that little space for that length of time that maybe can help people if they're going through crises such as loneliness in a new country. They may love their country, but they might be desperately lonely. That just a few minutes of listening to an Irish voice or a Limerick voice.
Yeah. So all the elements within those 3 hours will be contained, I presume, reflective of the diversity that we have here and abroad. So that's basically it. Of course, another show, turning to another specialist radio shows. We have a lot of specialist radio shows on the schedule, which will be challenging for us, we know that, but we're confident that the broadcasters will rise to the challenge, and they're eager to get started. So one of the specialist shows that we have on the schedule is it's Showtime.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to that.
Music from musicals and
movies and film.
Movies and musicals.
I suppose I grew up in a very musical family. Welsh, Irish, English, I suppose, family, and both sides, the Welsh side and the Irish side, were very much into music. different genres. The Irish side were into classical and traditional, and the Welsh side were into classical and church music and things like that. So I grew up with musicals and movies, and it was just, and then being somebody who has been a performer from the age of 4. I spent my life as a dancer and in shows and everything. So it was a natural thing that if I was going to do a show, it was going to be the best of the musicals I grew up with, and Get You Gone and the dance, straight through to the likes of Riverdance and that. And I would like to say to any of my colleagues in the Irish dancing scene that there'll be a little section every week, maybe more than once a week, where dancing schools all over the world can send us in little snippets, maybe 10-minute featurette of their shows that they produce, which would be the precursor, if you like, to shows like Riverdance and Feet of Flames and Lord of the Dance, where young dancers, 9, 10, even younger, are performing, and these grow up and they get the best of training, and then they go into shows when they're older.
So we can look forward to listeners to Jean Kelly, Sid Charisse, Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, Donald O'Connor, and et al.
Et al. Dance and music.
In glorious black and white.
Well, I won't all be black and white.
No, I'm joking. But, and turning to another show that listeners that Mary will be involved in is another specialist speech programming, which we feel will be the distinctive feature of our station, and challenging as well. It will be Wild Geese. Well, Wild Geese is in the name. Yeah. Gives away the show, which will be featured on the weekends. Yeah,
for those I suppose who don't know what Wild Geese is synonymous with, it's the flight of the wild geese when Patrick Sarsfield, one of our soldiers in arms, left Ireland with about 200 men and sailed to all countries in the globe and actually fought for Spain rather than swear allegiance to the crown of England. And they sailed off the River Shannon and never returned to Ireland again. And it's all to do with flights and leaving Ireland and going to all corners of the globe. And I suppose Wild Geese would be, I'm looking at people coming to Ireland and people leaving Ireland, and I'm looking, I suppose, at the new Irish and the Indigenous Irish and what life is like for people who have to come to Ireland to make Ireland their home, what they miss from their own country, what they'd like to bring with them from their own country in order to make themselves feel a little bit more at home, and vice versa if they go to France or Germany or Italy, what it is that they crave about Ireland. So I suppose, in short, it's a show about diaspora, whichever way you want to.
And the New Irish, I suppose, as well. New Irish as well, that have settled here in the last 15, 20 years. So that'll be something to look forward to with Mary every Saturday, I think. Anyway, the schedule will be up on our webpage probably next week or the week after, the full schedule. We have it more or less 99% finalised, but there's a few tweaks to.
And I have to say at this point that great credit is due to you, Pat. And I suppose when we started off this project about, over 2 years ago now.
It's certainly in gestation longer than any pregnancy.
I think you'd have had 2 elephants by the time.
Oh, definitely. But we're nearly there now. The trunk is showing.
The trunk is showing.
So this will be Mary Honan doing her thing with It's Showtime and Wild Geese the weekends and My Limerick Monday to Friday for 3 hours. So something to really look forward to.
My Limerick will have a lot in it. It'll be chat and there's music and there'll be the death notices and there'll be the Angelas and things that aren't usually done in
weather report,
the weather report,
business
the news,
update,
business update,
sports results.
There you go.
Something to look forward to. Lear International Radio, locally based, internationally focused, and indeed we have our webpage as well, wearelear.com. Thank you, Mary.
You're very welcome, and thank you for all your hard work.
The jungle VIP, I've reached the top and had to stop, but that's what's bothering me.